In Washington, D.C., power flows through information. But what happens when the most sensitive military intelligence in the world ends up on the wrong phone? In the halls of power, a national security advisor makes a fatal miscalculation. On the other side of the world, a special forces team walks into a perfectly orchestrated trap. When the dust settles, 4 American soldiers are dead, 3 more captured. And the most catastrophic intelligence breach in modern history is just beginning to unravel. Signal Lost, a 6-part podcast thriller about betrayal, courage, and the devastating consequences of a world where even our most guarded communications are never truly secure. When everyone is listening, nowhere is safe. Signal Lost. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you know what animal can sleep for 3 years without eating? Neither did I until I started hosting 5 daily trivia questions. Hi, I'm Mark Ellison. Every weekday, I'll challenge you with 5 brain-bending questions spanning history, pop culture, science, and more. Perfect for your morning commute or lunch break. 5 daily trivia questions. And by the way, it's the snail that can sleep for 3 years. 5 daily trivia questions wherever you get your shows.
Calaroga Shark Media.
From Washington, D.C., where we'll take your photo even if you hide your face, this is Ballot.
That's right, Ballot, the show that supports Trump more than anyone, and the show whose hosts shouldn't be sent to El Salvador. Hi, I'm Patrick Gutfield, and before we begin today, let me just reiterate that nobody supports President Trump more than I do. Unlike those ungrateful jerks at 60 Minutes, Trump is back on Truth Social, absolutely fuming about CBS and 60 Minutes like they personally hit his TV remote. He's demanding the network lose its license after they aired a segment about Ukraine and his bizarre obsession with buying Greenland. The episode featured Ukrainian President Zelensky talking about that tense Oval Office meeting where he basically suggested Vice President J.D. Vance was being Putin's hype man. Trump is still fixated on that Kamala Harris interview from October, claiming 60 Minutes did deceitful editing and completely and corruptly changed her answers. He's suing them for $20 billion, which, if you ask me, isn't nearly enough. I got your back, Don. 60 Minutes shouldn't even be allowed to air. CBS should be forced to air this show. In his posts, Trump called on FCC Chairman Brendan Carr to impose maximum fines and punishment on CBS. There's just one tiny problem. The FCC doesn't actually license networks, only individual stations. It's like threatening to revoke someone's driver's license when they annoy you on a bicycle. Last month, Trump was equally outraged about George Clooney's 60 Minutes interview, calling him a second-rate movie star and failed political pundit. This from the guy who starred in Home Alone 2. Governor Gretchen Whitmer made a surprise visit to the Oval Office, and it went about as well as bringing a vegetarian to a steakhouse. The New York Times captured this incredible photo of Whitmer literally hiding her face behind 2 blue folders while Trump was speaking to the press. 2 folders. She wasn't just checking her notes, she was creating a makeshift privacy screen like she was voting in a booth. You could practically see the thought bubble above her head saying, "I don't know how I got here, and I want to leave immediately." According to Whitmer's office, she was surprised when she got whisked into the Oval Office during Trump's press conference. She was just supposed to have a nice, quiet, closed-door meeting about tariffs and Michigan defense investments. Instead, she found herself standing there as visual background while Trump went on about the 2020 election being rigged. Her spokesperson made sure to clarify that her presence is not an endorsement of the actions taken or statements made at that event. Translation, please don't use this in campaign ads against her. President Trump was at UFC 314, and let me tell you, the arena went absolutely wild for him. The kind of reception you'd expect for someone who just announced free parking at the airport. But here's what happened. Trump walks in, making his grand entrance, and there's Health Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. standing there with his wife, actress Cheryl Hines from Curb Your Enthusiasm. Kennedy extends his hand. Trump gives him this big, enthusiastic shake, very warm, very friendly. Then there's Cheryl Hines, hand extended, ready for her presidential greeting, and Trump just walks right past her, completely ignores her hand. Hines had to settle for awkwardly patting Trump on the shoulder as he breezed by to chat with Joe Rogan. Meanwhile, Kennedy's just standing there, laughing it off like, "Yep, that's my boss." Apparently, Trump did make up for the snub later, holding Hines' hand while chatting with her and Kennedy. I guess in politics, like in real estate, it's all about location, location, location. And Hines finally found herself in the right spot at the right time. Yesterday, Blue Origin's first all-female spaceflight successfully launched into the great beyond with quite the passenger list. Lauren Sims Sanchez, Katy Perry, Gail King, NASA rocket scientist Aisha Bowe, astronaut Amanda Nguyen, and filmmaker Carrie Ann Flynn. It was like the right stuff, but if John Glenn was wearing custom-designed Mons spacesuits, that put the couture in astronaut couture. According to Sanchez, who happens to be dating Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos, these suits were specifically designed for women, unlike the typical male suits that get hastily tailored. She worked with Monse designers to create something that was both functional and flattering. Because why not look fabulous while experiencing zero gravity? Maybe Star Trek did get it right with those miniskirts. The suits were made of flame-resistant stretch neoprene with special features like zippered calves for that perfect space flare look. Each woman underwent a 3D body scan to ensure their cosmic outfit fit just right. Fernando Garcia, one of the designers, admitted they almost put a corset in Sanchez's suit, which she apparently would have been totally fine with. Nothing says conquering the final frontier like cinching your waist. Katy Perry declared, "We are going to put the ass in Astronaut." Not quite for all mankind, and I'm pretty sure that's not what NASA had in mind with their astronaut training program, but here we are. This is truly a giant leap for womankind and an even bigger step for space fashion. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go request a 3D body scan for my next flight on Spirit Airlines. Portions of today's program were made with the help of our great president, whom I support, the UFC, NASA, and AI.
American Giant makes great clothing, sweatshirts, jeans, and more right here in the U.S. Visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com, code STAPLE20.